Welcome, everyone, to the captive audience. It is the 15th of December, and we're recording this show because it's a complicated schedule right now, but it's a busy and good schedule for our guest tonight, Representative Ed Deal, who is one of the co-petitioners for the No Tax OR petition to stop the gas tax and refer it to the ballot. And so there's a lot to tell on that, as well as many other things happening with your money, with the legislature, and with fraud in this state. Welcome to the show, Representative Deal.
You bet, Kevin. Great to be with you. Good to see you again.
Likewise. And I think the last time we talked, it was like right before, I think, Kate Brown was, or not Kate Brown. Yeah, there's another Freudian slip. Tina Kotek was still contemplating what she was going to do with this bill that had passed. And as it turns out, she did wait the full measure to sign it. And then that just ticked everybody off. And then you guys organized this and got it out there. You and Bruce Starr and Jason Williams are the chief petitioners. And and then within a very short period of time, we had a lot of good news. Why don't you kind of fill in the history here of what happened, and then we can talk about where we're at now.
You bet. Well, the governor did her best to deny Oregonians the opportunity to weigh in on this, and she cut our 90-day window to gather signatures down to about 45 days. But we took that opportunity to build an army and organize. And so when she finally did sign it, we were ready to rock and roll. And we gathered signatures with an all-volunteer team in record time. We hit our goal. We set a goal. We wanted 100,000 signatures in 30 days because we need 78,000. We hit our goal in about 7 days. And in about 11 days, we were at 150,000 signatures. And what we turned into the Secretary of State on Friday, after less than a month at this, was 194,000 signatures.
Wow.
We have more to go. We're still collecting signatures. We'll turn another batch in. We should be close to 250,000 signatures when we're done.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing.
Isn't that somewhere in the neighborhood of the same number of signatures you'd need to do a constitutional amendment?
Yeah. With an all-volunteer team that was passionate and committed out there in the rain and the wind, and working sometimes very long hours. They really pulled this thing together, and we had people coming out of the woodwork to sign this thing. So we sent a strong message to the Democrat leadership and to the governor, and we made Oregon history in the process. And I think we've changed the tax conversation in the state for years to come. Years to come.
Happened to land at a time when people are feeling, in a sense, peak frustration with the affordability and of cost of living and everything, and then they get this news that somebody just thinks they can stick them with a gas tax. It's some increases in the registration fees, an increase in an income tax that's supposed to go to paying for mass transit that has not recovered from the days of usage of COVID. And they're like, affordability, inflation, they've had it. And then somebody says, well, you're going to have to pay some more.
Yeah. Oregonians are already financially strapped, and our economy, we've got a pretty high unemployment right now. We've lost some manufacturing jobs. And then you tack on more taxes. And I always look at it this way, Kevin. Look at our budget in 2015 versus 2025, our state budget. Yeah. Our state budget was $78 billion in 2015. Today, it's $139 billion.
It's double.
Close to double. I can explain less than half of that with inflation and with population increase. been a modest population increase over that time. So you look at that, and just in this budget cycle, we're spending $40 billion extra beyond what I can explain with inflation and everything. Where's that money going? Well, we're
Yeah.
spending all this extra money. Things have gotten worse. Education's worse. The housing issue's worse. The homelessness issue's worse. And now you're asking me to pay more taxes? You got to be kidding me. No way. So we're having a revolt in this state right now, and we're forcing the Democrat leadership and the governor to pay attention to the Oregon people. They rammed this thing through. They tried to deny their voice, and they spoke up and said, "No, you ain't going to do this anymore." So I'm really pumped. We needed this. We needed this win, and we needed the Oregon people to stand up and be heard, and they are being heard.
Well, you guys also had a little bit of fun at Fanfare.
Yeah.
I'm just putting this up on the screen there because there was a video made of, it's a horse and buggy.
Yeah. The team, the elves wrapped all the petitions in Christmas paper. And one of my buddies, Tim Bielenberg, brought his carriage and his beautiful horses, and we brought them to the Capitol. It was a lot of fun. We even have a theme song, Kevin. Ben Roche wrote us a theme song to the tune of Jingle Bells called No Tax Oregon. So
playing on this? Is that what's playing?
Oh, I don't know if it's playing on this one. But I just put one out on my social media, a video that has the theme song on it. So it was a time to celebrate. We had a lot of the volunteers come and dress up as elves and Santa, and just, hey, celebrate your victory, and deliver Christmas early to the Oregon people. That's what this was about.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And it lists the number of signatures that you mentioned, and there's more coming. And this is also a process, right? Because you guys had to go and receive these in, you do some validation, right? You make sure everything is good.
Yeah. We're doing the best we can to make sure we're giving them high quality signatures. We can't check the actual signature, but we can check everything else.
Yeah.
And so we are very confident that we have more than enough signatures. And so the Secretary of State's office, we've been working really well with them. They were ready. We told them we would be there on Friday at 1:00. They were ready to accept them. They started going through the sheets today. And we have one of our petition captains is there monitoring the count and monitoring the work that they're doing. And so I fully expect that they should be done with their process. I would think they'd be done with their process by the end of this week, frankly. That I might be a little bit too optimistic, but this was the best sign that we had that everyone knows this is inevitable. The Oregon Department of Revenue sent out a letter today saying we will not be implementing the doubling of the statewide payroll transit tax.
They're not going to implement it, so they're just using some sort of.
They're going to hold off on implementing it because we delivered 200,000 signatures.
Huh.
Yeah. Because they see the writing on the wall. Yeah. They got the signatures. We're not going to ask all the businesses to implement something for a few days only to reverse it once the Secretary of State's validated the count. So I appreciate that they made that call. Now I hope that they'll do the same thing with the folks that, for the gas distributors, the folks that have to raise the gas tax.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all good stuff.
That's a hassle too, because they have to go into all those machines and they have to upgrade everything.
But once the signatures are verified by the Secretary of State that we have enough, then none of those taxes and fees go into effect until the voters vote on it in November at the general election.
Well, and so that kind of brings us to that next conversation, which I know is a bit of a
Yeah.
guessing game, but I've seen some explanations of what people expect to happen next. And some of the scenarios involve some, things that are just as nefarious as the governor waiting to sign the bill into law to affect the amount of time you have to gather the signatures. And the scenarios I've been hearing about, I know of some from the past. So, like back in 2003 and in 2009, when tax referrals had gotten enough signatures to get on the ballot, the legislature held a session, I think a special session in those cases, because there was no annual session yet. And they moved the election that it would be held at the referendum to a special election, an off election that would have lower
Hmm.
turnout, and in hopes of doing two things. I think they wanted to make sure that maybe their union folks could get in there and muscle through enough votes to overcome low turnout on our side. And then the second thing was, of course, they didn't want it to appear on the general election ballot and potentially create a bad optics situation for everybody who voted for the petition or voted for the tax either, and for everybody who um, else on the ballot who could suffer from greater turnout by tax revolting citizens.
Yeah, that's the rumor, that they're going to move the referendum off the general election to the May primary. They could even do some, like you said, some special election, oddball one, pick a holiday and do it on the holiday.
Yeah.
That would be a real Grinchy thing to do. um, they've already demonstrated they're more than willing to deny voters the right to weigh in and put this on the ballot. But to move it off of the general election, that's the people's election. That's when the people turn out to vote. To move it to some off election with lower voter turnout, that's outrageous. I mean, the governor's already thumbed her nose at the Oregon people. I'd be slapping them in the face. And I don't trust you to vote. I don't trust your ability to make decisions. So we're going to minimize your ability to do that. If they want to do that, all I can say is we're going to make that as uncomfortable as we can for them moving into the short session, because we will be making sure our volunteers are already geared up to be writing their legislators. I told them on Friday, tell your legislators, don't be a Grinch, don't move this election date. That'd be really ugly if she did that.
Well, and it wouldn't be unheard of for them to be that nefarious, but it really backfired when they waited to sign the bill into law,
Totally
because it
backfired.
just created energy for you guys to
Yeah.
give the signatures.
And at this point, moving the date will backfire on them too. It will. It'd be a real nasty move. So we're going to push hard to make sure it stays on the general election. That's where it should be. That's where the voters get to weigh in. I've talked to some of my colleagues. They know that the voters will vote down these taxes and fees. It'll be a no vote. So now it's up to the governor and the Democrat leadership to decide, what are they going to do? What are they going to do to keep maintenance and road safety going? We know what they need to do. They need to reprioritize the money that's already there. But what the governor has signaled sometimes is she's willing to sacrifice road safety over those other pet priorities that she has in ODOT. And I think we need to make sure people understand it in those terms. She's holding safety and maintenance hostage to fund other things in the budget. And why do you do that? This is I'm an engineer, business guy. This politic thing is new to me, but this is a callous move. You take the thing that's most important to Oregon voters, road safety and maintenance. If you ask them what's the most important thing for traffic or for transportation, and that's the thing you put on the chopping block first. to justify more taxes. That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing.
Well,
Why?
and they've
They're not
done
funding EV chargers. They're
no.
not defunding the social equity office. They're not defunding these mega boondoggle projects. They're taking it away from snowplows. At least that's what they're threatening. And I think that's just a callous move.
That commercial TV commercial writes itself. In every race where somebody bears any responsibility for supporting that approach.
Mhm.
So the other possibility, and it's obviously a more technical one, is that they could go and change what they passed already in the short session, potentially. I mean, I guess they may have problems getting the votes, but if the people that voted for it have a greater fear of doing nothing, then they might actually go and try to do something else and get around it.
Yeah.
Can they do that? Can they just sort of repeal it, which makes I think the referendum evaporate, and then pass something else, which of course then would start the whole process over potentially.
There's a lot of things. They could repeal the whole bill and pass it again. I dare you.
Yeah,
We got a whole army of people ready to rock and roll. They'll be out there. They'll put it back on the ballot again, and they'll be twice as pissed off as they were the first go around.
Yeah.
So I think that would be futile. And I don't know what the right answer is. To sit down and have some hard discussions and say, okay, what programs are lower priority, and maybe we should not be funding those. Maybe we should shift money that's sitting in reserve on these big capital projects that frankly will never happen. You know, the Rose Quarter project,
Yeah.
which started out as a $500 million project to add a third lane. My understanding is that there's a 1.8 mile stretch there in the Rose Quarter. That's the only 2-lane chunk of I-5 between Mexico and Canada. And that Rose Quarter project is now a $2 billion project. Doesn't add a third lane. It is a restorative justice urban renewal project with this massive cap over the freeway that they could put buildings on, flower beds, parks, and they're improving the on-ramps and off-ramps, but they're not even adding a flip lane. And it's costing $2 billion. And it will never happen. The feds aren't going to fund that thing.
Well, I understand. Didn't they already basically say they were pulling the money?
The feds? There's some question whether the feds already pulled it or not. I'm not exactly sure if that's been settled. It may have already been pulled.
And I know that the I-5 bridge has been in trouble as well, I think, with the feds. And it has a similar dynamic, right? They got a bridge that's actually going to reduce car and truck capacity and try to stick in light rail into it, at least in one of the versions that I've seen of it. And now, and they're really doing it just to make sure it doesn't collapse in an earthquake. But this thing's jammed up all the time.
Yeah. And we're funding. I'm going to be releasing more on this, Kevin, but we're funding. We sent money. ODOT sent money to an equity summit. They gave money to an AIDS fundraising outfit. They gave funding to several LGBTQ events. They paid for an LGBTQ bus wrap around Chariots. We gave money to this Cambodian Buddhist society. ODOT. Why are they doing this? Why are we spending money on that stuff? And you're telling me you can't plow the roads?
Yeah. And there was the $28 million
that they're going to
that you mentioned that they spend on the Office of Equity I think is a significant amount.
It's the Social Equity and Civil Rights Division, which is about $29 million agency. And then you've also got incorporated in all these projects, restorative justice and climate justice. ODOT is off its core mission.
Yeah.
And the Oregon people said loud and clear, prioritize safety and maintenance, focus ODOT on core mission, don't raise my taxes. It's very simple. Yeah. It really is simple. The first thing we should do is do a deep performance audit of ODOT. I looked for one. I couldn't find one. I don't know if maybe it happened years and years ago, but that's what we need to do. And look at every fund and sub-fund, identify where the money is on those funds, what's been rolling forward. You know, there's underspending in some of these funds. Clearly understand where all the vacancies are, understand what each one of these funds is going for, weigh it in priority to safety and maintenance, and then make some decisions. And it's going to make certain special interest groups very upset. I get it. But that's what the Oregon people want. And I don't blame them. And that's what
this is kind of cracking the edifice of what the entire state government's been doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is just one department that just happens to have stuck its neck out and ticked people off with this taxing.
Yeah. It's when you look at the budget, like I was saying before, and you have this massive growth in the state budget, yet we're not feeling any value out of that. We should be rightfully questioned, where is our money going? And why in the world are you asking me to pay more in taxes right now? And I'll tell you, I ran a business. It was a small business. I built it from nothing up to about 100 employees. But you manage your money. You manage your money. You know where money's coming in and where it's going out. And we're not doing that. How can you tell me that ODOT needs more money when you've never done a broad and deep performance audit in the last 10 years?
And they have added on a lot of employees over that.
They've added on a lot of employees. They've added on a lot of different projects. I'm hearing stories that their reporting mechanisms are really poor, and some of the reporting they're even doing to the feds is not accurate. I mean, it's just one thing after another. I don't think we should be giving them a dime. This is what I've said for months. We should not be giving them a dime unless they can demonstrate full accountability for the money they're already getting.
And this is the department that underestimated the amount of money they were going to get from the feds by $1 billion. That was found in the audit.
Yeah, I think what they did is they misestimated when that money was going to be collected, I think was the deal. Oops.
$1 billion math error, and they want more money.
Yeah.
Well, that screams accountability. Well, there's a lot of stuff that could apply to that. You've got a number of other things happening here too. So you're kind of heading into a legislative session. There's going to be a move right now when people pay their state taxes. It's based on their taxable income from their federal taxes. It's connected.
It is connected. It's called the rolling reconnect.
Yeah. So, which, when there's a change in what is taxable federally, it can affect the state. The taxable items in the federal level changed in the one big beautiful bill. There was some no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, reduced taxes on Social Security, also in business deductibility of improvements and capital spending, and that would cause state taxable income to therefore be less. Therefore, they would collect less state taxes. But of course, all the things we just mentioned are really good for individuals in the economy. but that's not a concern, is it, of our friends in the state legislature?
No, I'm popping up this. This is a presentation we got recently uh, from the Legislative Revenue Office, and it shows the rolling reconnect. So we have the HR1 Big Beautiful Bill. Oregon taxpayers will benefit from that in state taxes by $888 million in savings over the next 2 years. That's tax savings to Oregonians because of HR1. That's just state taxes, not counting federal tax breaks.
Yeah.
Now, that's how you and I look at it. Wow, Oregonians are going to save $888 million in state taxes. The leadership and the governor's looking at it. Oh my God, we're going to lose $888 million in revenue to the state. So, and you got to look at this. They're calling this a tax break for the rich. This is how they're marketing it. But look at this: overtime, $221 million saved back in people's pockets who are working overtime. Tips, no overtime, no tax on tips. $77 million back to Oregon taxpayers. Car loan interest. There's all these other things. And then there's things that relate to businesses and depreciation and R&D expenses. This is big for Oregon taxpayers. Well, in the short session, they're going to try and disconnect us. The Democrat leadership and the governor want to disconnect us from this so that we don't get this $888 million tax break. So that'll be a big fight in there.
And that's for the February short session that they're going to try to do.
The February short session. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just crazy.
So really interesting. Yeah. We'll see how they approach it. I think it'll be a big mistake. But they've been making some big mistakes already. This would just add it to the list.
Well, this TV ad again writes itself. So does the mail piece that you send to people. You show the millionaires and billionaires earning overtime and tips, for example. And there are none. They're all working class people who are the ones who have had enough of the cost of living increases and the affordability problems that signed the petition. Which has got to weigh on them a little bit in this decision too.
Yeah. So we need to do a really good job of communicating this and to make sure that my Democrat colleagues, and I think there's plenty of them that will be really sensitive to this. Here's the other thing, Kevin. When I look back at 2015 and I looked at the discussion going on about the budget, it was generally positive. People felt it's a strong economy. We're bringing in money. We're going to have, there'll be a kicker. That was in 2015. Now our state budget's double, and all I hear, we're out of money. We don't have enough money. How can that be? How can that be? The money is not going in ways that Oregonians prioritize. It's as simple as that. I don't think it's that complicated to get back to some fiscal accountability with these agencies. It just takes the will and the understanding that you're going to get away from some of the special interests.
Well, and it was a COVID forever budget too, because when they started spending more on COVID, they're like, well, we have to keep all that. It's so good.
That's what they did. There was this huge influx in money. And then they basically, that never went away. It wasn't a one-time thing. There's been more of an influx in state funds and more federal funds. Well, it's unsustainable.
Unsustainable. Yeah. In a word.
Yeah. And a lot of our spending has been in healthcare and welfare benefits. That's been a lot of what Oregon's funding, why it has exploded from 2015 to 25. It now consumes human services like that consumes over 44% of our state budget.
Jeez.
And it's on an unsustainable path. Everybody knows it. Forget about HR1. forget about the impacts. We're on an unsustainable path already. We have a healthcare system that is facing crisis because we've got 1 in 3 people in the state on Medicaid, when frankly, not all of them should be on Medicaid. So we've spread these dollars so thin, we're not reimbursing providers at a rate that covers their costs. It's just one thing after another, Kevin. And it's I saw it when I got into the building. I saw how much we were spending. We can't do this. This is unsustainable. And so while some of my colleagues are in freak out mode, I'm just going, well, it is what it is. It's not surprising me that it's come to this. Let's just deal with it and we got to right size these systems.
Well, and I think we've got it. There's even more to it, right? It's not just the things that it's being spent on that might even be legitimate, however unsustainable, but
yeah,
you're starting to look into stuff like with Jeff Eager, another regular guest on our program, fraud.
Well, Jeff Eager and Oregon Roundup are awesome. I shared some information I discovered in May that there was a company called Uplifting Journey that was housing a Tren-de-Aragua gang member in one of their behavioral health houses. So I asked the health authority, hey, did this outfit ever accept Medicaid? And they said yes. So I gave this information to Jeff, and I also continued my own research in it. And what we discovered is they took $2.5 million in Medicaid. They kind of disappeared from the state. Their main office, Jeff went and visited it. It's empty except a couple plastic bags in it.
Yeah.
But what I also discovered is that we were allowing behavioral health companies to sign up, but the CCOs who pay out the Medicaid, they weren't vetting these places. They weren't qualifying them. If they were signed up with the health authority, that's all it took. They could bill Medicaid. So we discovered that and go, this doesn't look good. Well, what we recently found is I received an email from somebody in the health authority. From back in May, they discovered that this Uplifting Journey company was connected to like 8 different companies in this shell game network. And the thing that Jeff discovered is that the company is connected to a pastor in Arizona that's being investigated for Medicaid fraud in Arizona. This is a network of Medicaid fraud that I think is as big as what we're seeing in Minnesota.
Yeah, the Somali one. Yeah.
So this is a big problem. So I wrote a letter back months ago to the Department of Justice and to the Center for Medicaid Services Inspector General to investigate this. And I've recently reiterated that. And I will be calling the DOJ and calling the Inspector General just to follow up on that and make sure that they are acting. I don't think the DOJ will really tell me if they have an investigation going on, but I'll see what I can learn. Well, and I've reached out to the health authority too, say, hey guys, what's up? How come you knew about this in May, that this one company that I brought your attention to was connected to all these others? Why didn't you tell me that? And I hope they're investigating it too.
Because investigations aren't supposed to be cover-ups of crime. They can't divulge the details or confirm things about the investigation, but they're not supposed to prevent people from finding out that something actually happened or hide it once it's discovered. And this is both Jeff and I thought that the initial thing that came out about the place in Lake Oswego with the Tren-de-Aragua guy, that was sort of an accident because he was also that guy. The Tren-de-Aragua guy got arrested for attempted murder up in Washington State. And so it started just like all these red flags went up. But now it's clearly leading to the big time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and this is the same program that you just said has been expanded dramatically to occupy
Oh,
40% of our entire state budget.
yeah. When I talk to the CCOs about, well, why, you know, the costs, they've had healthcare costs that are far in excess of what they estimated. Um, and I asked, well, why is that? Well, the utilization of behavioral health services is way beyond what they estimated. Well, here's at least
That's
part of the issue. It's
yeah.
not all of it. It's more complicated than that. But that's definitely part of the issue. So um, we have an accountability problem when it comes to our agencies. I have a pretty good idea how we can deal with that. I don't think it's that overly complicated, but it just takes the will to do it. We'll see if the governor and the Democrat leadership have the will,
They might be, or the voters
or the
next
voters.
year.
We got a chance in November to change who runs this state.
That's right. Hire somebody who won't let this
Voters
happen.
turn out. Yeah.
Amen. Well, I know you got a hard stop now,
Yep.
and we got to wrap up. But any last words? If people want to follow the tax petition, it's notaxor.com, right?
NoTaxOR.com. You can sign up there. I'd encourage all your listeners to go and sign up to Oregon Freedom Coalition. I mean, this was the first initiative that we basically ran the grassroots effort for this.
Yep.
We were all a team. We worked with Jason Williams, the Taxpayers Association. He did a massive mail campaign.
Yep.
But it was Oregon Freedom Coalition that ran, with a lot of help, ran the grassroots initiative. So I'd
Is
encourage
that OregonFreedom.com?
OregonFreedom.com. If your listeners to go there, please look what we're about. Sign up. I built that. I started that with Nick Stark, our executive director, to start an organization to build a grassroots machine in Oregon. We are building a grassroots machine. If you want to take our state back, that's what it's going to take, because those legislators are not representing our best interests. You saw it with this tax bill. They do it all the time. We have an opportunity to take our state back through grassroots. OregonFreedom.com. So.
And of course, OregonRoundup.substack.com for folks who want to read more about that fraud that's going on from Jeff Eager. Representative Deal, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And as always, we look forward to having you on again. Good luck with the rest of the campaign. Everybody knows what they need to do to get involved. Stay involved. Expect more hijinks and crazy stuff here in the coming months, and we got to stay on top of it.
We're only getting started, Kevin. We'll take our state back.
Well, thanks, Representative Deal. Have a great rest of the evening. And by the way,